Hello, Mohawk Matt here with the Koffin Cats.
Hello.
Where your party is.
Partiers, yes. So basically we're here at the Outland Ballroom. We're shooting an indie music documentary. Basically we're trying to get the overall gist of like how it is to be in a touring band, and would you recommend it to everybody or no?
Let's start off with introduce yourselves, the name of the band, the kind of music you play, and introduce the band members, if you please.
I'm Vic, bass player and singer for the Koffin Cats.
I'm Ian, I play guitar for the Koffin Cats. And I'm Eric, and I drum for the Koffin Cats. And Earth, Wind, and Fire.
How would you describe your band?
We're kind of a high-energy punk rock band with an upright bass. We do everything from like melodic sounding punk, rock and roll to almost metal sometimes. You know, we're all over the place really. It's hard to just put your finger on one specific genre when it comes to us.
Who would be your number one influences as musicians?
Number one.
Ooh. It's it's
JC, it's all over the board.
It's really a giant mixing pot. Yeah, I'd have to say, I mean, I can go with the first band that got me interested in music beyond what my parents were listening to, or when I started discovering my own music and how it was cool, was Bad Religion, and that kind of shaped the way I would start listening and finding other bands and what I liked in music, as far as liking strong melodies and focusing on harmonies and the subject matter of songs and stuff like that. And I mean, that's not the only deciding factor in what we sound like, but that was the first thing that I got into. Edit cut.
Okay, how about for any, let's say a younger, the next generation here, they're inspired by even a band like yourself. I mean, what would be your advice to them as far as getting a band together and making it work? I mean, it looks like a lot of fun, but it's got to be crazy amount of work.
It's getting a band together. It's hard. The hardest part about being in a band is not playing your instruments. It's having the chemistry and having the
being
musician.
In the band,
It's being in the band. It's having your heart in the band. If you're the only one with the heart in the band, it's never going to work. It's never going to work. You might as well go find new members. Stop wasting your time. That's the hardest part. You have to find the chemistry and the camaraderie. Once you have that, then really you have to just you have to put all of your money into it and all of your credit cards, and you just basically have to give your whole life to it and go out on the thinnest branch of the tree and hope you don't fall to the ground.
So this is a labor of love.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This band's been 10 years now, and it's nice to think about, wow, if I didn't have this band, where would I be? Where would I be now? I'd probably be with family and actually have some money in my pocket, but it's not how it worked out. The trade-off is I've had more fun and I have more stories than I think the average person will ever have.
Sure.
What is the most funnest thing about being in a band?
Well, I mean, it never gets old as far as you wake up in a different city. This is if you're in a touring band, I guess. You wake up in a different city almost every day, and you get to see the world. I mean, I know not every band is as fortunate as we are. We get to go over to Europe, and we tour over there, part of the year, and we tour all over North America. I mean, we're very lucky in our situation. We're a working band, and our work keeps us out on the road.
So with that being like the most funnest, what's the least favorite thing about being in a touring band?
The amount of money that it costs. It's very expensive, especially when everything's out of your own pocket. For example, what we spend in the last quarter of the year in gas was like 20 grand? At least 20 grand. I mean, that's more than some people make a year. And that, I mean, it's one of those expenses that it's just, you sell your t-shirts at the show, and you just look at those t-shirts as gallons of gas going into the tank. That's all they are for us, But yeah, that's the most disappointing and the hardest part about being in a band, is just keeping it going. We are independent, and we've always have been, and it's always been out of our own pockets. And we're just now getting into the just breaking even point because our debts are finally getting paid off. And it's been a lot of work, but we're very proud of it and very happy with where we're at.
So what advice would you give to a younger kid getting ready to get into the music industry, starting out? If you could go back 10 years from now when you first started, really.
What would we do different?
Yeah. What kind of advice would you give to yourself?
Careful what kind of contracts you sign.
Oh yeah, don't. Especially if you're just starting out, don't sign any contracts.
Yeah,
That's a terrible idea.
The great thing about being in a band now is you have more resources than anybody ever did before. As far as you have the internet and you have ways of distributing your music yourself. You don't need the helping
Ways of
hand.
recording it yourself.
Yeah, you don't need the helping hand of a label. No label's going to swoop down and offer you, a tour bus and offer you an awesome tour. You can do it all yourself and do it with your own money.
Ask lots of questions.
Yeah.
That's what I wish we would have did in certain situations. Is we learned a lot from our mistakes. So we made the mistake. Luckily, kept going from it, learned from it, didn't do it again. But if we would have asked more questions, I think we could have avoided some of them at least.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is don't freak out. It's not always it's going to feel like you get stagnant, but as long as you keep moving forward and keep playing shows and get out of the city that you're in, get out of the state that you're in. It's easier said than done, I know, but if your heart's in the right place and you make the right decisions, you can get that van, you can get across country and back, and you can get the right band members that'll do that with you. And just keep going, even when you're eating SpaghettiOs for a week and maybe you only had one can of SpaghettiOs that week. Just keep going because something will come your way. It's the bands that gave up that don't ever get anywhere. It's the ones that keep pushing their music in people's faces that at least have some name at the end of the day.
So you mentioned the internet. How has the digital realm affected you guys' music? Does it help you or does it hurt you? The people being able to download your music?
I would say that file sharing has helped us incredibly. People that want to have an original product, that want to have the actual CD, that care about collecting that, they're going to buy it. People that don't give a shit, and it's not the same as it used to be. It used to be, you wanted to have that CD, you wanted to have what you paid for and all that. Now it's like, what's the easiest way I can get their music, and whatever.
It's fine.
It's helped us because it's allowed our music to get all over the world, and it's allowed us to have people know what our music is. When we arrived in Poland for the first time, and people were singing along, it was crazy. I was like, how the hell do you know our music? Oh, we get it from Napster or whatever, And hey. You're not going to get rich off of selling music. You're going to be able to make your gas money and your pay your bills by the merchandise that you sell. So just think of these days when you write music, just think of it as something to keep people interested in your band.
Is that why you guys keep putting out records every year?
That's exactly why we keep putting out records. It used to be bands could get away with putting out a record every couple of years, every 5 years if that. Now it's like if you don't put a record out, people think you quit being a band.
That was awesome.
Thank you guys so much for doing this.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? I mean, you guys actually literally covered every base that we're trying to touch upon.
Cool.
Yeah. So if you have anything to add,
I'd have to say that, for anybody watching this, regardless of whether you've been into music forever and this is just another documentary you're watching, or if you're seeing this and just getting into music, go out and see a show. Go out and support these touring bands.
Every show.
Yeah, I obviously, I know it's a work. Some nights are school nights, some nights are work nights. But I'll tell you what, the bands bands certainly appreciate it, and it helps bands like us keep going.
It's how bands like us got started too.
Yeah.
It was going to see every show that we could.
You're not going to capture the same energy as from a live record or watching a show on YouTube as you would, And there's just a whole different experience, and I'm afraid that that's kind of dying out compared to how I remember it when I used to go to shows. It doesn't seem like that same energy is there. So we need to not let recorded DJ music and DJs take over the live band nights. Don't let it happen at your local bar or club.
You guys got a website?
www.coffincatsrock.com.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.